Okay, hopefully I have volume and this is playing, because I hate repeating myself. My name is Johnny B. I'm an arborist. I live in St. Petersburg, Florida. I was born pretty much, I've been raised here all my life. I'm an old hippie that just wants to tree and bee, build tree houses, be with the earth mother, enjoy the beach and nature, and live in a beautiful world. Unfortunately, right now, our world isn't too beautiful, is it? There's ugliness going on. Terrible. Murder. Murder by the police that are supposed to be catching people that do this and stopping people from doing that. I know quite a bit about this police abuse of power thing. It's a wonder that what happened to George Floyd hasn't happened to me. I've had, on 3 different occasions, police visit me in the middle of the night. One time I know for sure that had I answered that door, I would not be here sharing this with you right now. They would have murdered me right in my own front door, in my own home, and they'd have gotten away with it. That's a pretty strong accusation, but if you heard all of the circumstances involved around it, I believe that you would see exactly what I'm saying is true. Not only that, well, let me start here. For 30 years, I've been a victim of police abuse of power in the city of St. Petersburg. I've had my life threatened to my face by a police officer. I've been embarrassed in public and surrounded by police. I've had police go to my neighbors' houses in the middle of the night, asking for me, looking for me. That's the night I'm referring to about where they would have shot me. Let's see, I've had my arm broken. I've been falsely arrested. I've had my dump truck impounded. I've had my truck and my chipper towed away. That, I can't positively say the police did that one, but the rest of them I can say they did, because they did. And by the way, these feathers that I wear are to honor my Native American ancestors. And I would not dishonor my ancestors by being untruthful while I wear these feathers. I'm not a liar anyway, but I damn sure I'm not going to lie wearing these. So you can bet your ass what I'm sharing with you right now is a fact. I'm in the process of probably writing a book about all this because it needs to be shared. But I'm not doing this for that. I'm doing this because earlier today, this friend of mine, very close brother of mine, called me up and said, "Hey, what do you think about all this stuff? What do you think about all this looting and rioting and stuff? You think somebody should take a brick upside your head because you're white?" I said, "No, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with violence. I don't agree with stealing. I don't agree with them dishonoring this man's name with all this crap. That's a bunch of thugs and thieves. That's a bunch of agitators that are trying to cause a race war, to cause problems." I admire the fact that the people are standing up and saying enough is enough. This is obvious murder that this cop committed. And had somebody not videotaped that, that cop would still be a cop today and probably putting his knee to somebody else's neck. How many people has he killed before this? How many people are in prison for false charges for this from this guy? I know if I didn't have some damn good guardian angels and a lot of good sixth sense instinct, by not answering the door, by fleeing instead of fighting when they've tried to cause me to fight, and I'm talking just recently within the last 6 months at my own back gate. This cop, and I've got a videotape of it. See, that's the thing. Every statement I make here, I've got documentation. And there's 5 people in 5 states that have a complete record of these incidences. So that if something happens to me, hopefully they all, or some of them, will go to the federal authorities or somebody or the media. Actually, the media is the one that's going to get any kind of justice for you. The police obviously don't care. You know, I would hope that the FBI or somebody would investigate this should something occur that causes me to end up falsely charged or dead. You know? But that's how afraid I was. I've left my home for weeks at a time in my busy season of the year, left guys without work, left customers without an arborist, stopped my life and ran because I knew my life was in danger. And I went to a cop that I know, a sheriff up in, I'm not going to say where. I've known this sheriff for 20 years. I told him what was going on and asked him what I could do, and he goes, well, you need to get a hold of the FDLE and make a report. They're the ones that certify these cops, and they're the ones that'll do an investigation, and they're the ones that'll make sure that, you know, hopefully he's fired or something, and there'd be some sort of repercussions. So I followed his advice. I did that. I and my girlfriend both wrote a letter about what occurred that night, sent it to him. About 4 to 6 weeks later, I got a letter back saying that there's not enough evidence. Listen to the words. Not enough evidence to investigate. So, don't you get evidence by investigating? We recommend that you go to your police department internal affairs division. Well, let me share this. I went to the internal affairs division. I called them up and I said, yeah, I'd like to talk to somebody about this problem, and blah, 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 blah. Well, we don't have a problem with that. I said, really? Okay. I said, he's hanging out with a convicted pedophile. Well, we don't have a problem with that. Really? I didn't have anything more to say with him. Okay? This whole thing that's occurred with George Floyd, has brought so many emotions and so many things up that I haven't slept hardly for 2 nights. All these things that I've tried to put behind me and move on with my life in a positive manner, and by being silent, not totally. And I'm pretty sure that's a lot of the reason why I'm not, because I actually went to a couple of very wealthy clients of mine that were very well connected, and that's a Florida state bird, by the way. That's a palmetto bug. I have my windows open. Anyway, because they knew that other people knew, is why I'm probably not sitting in prison or dead too. because they've had many opportunities. Less than a year ago, I got pulled over in my own driveway. 5 police cars sitting out there for 45 minutes. I said, can I get my phone? I want to videotape this. I want to document. No, sir, you can't. I said, it's right here under the seat. No, sir, you can't do that. Well, you think I'm going to reach under my freaking seat with 5 cops out there? No, no, no. But I should have a right to document what's happening with me. Every one of them cops should have had body cams on, and I should be able to ask for every second of footage as public record. The cops have all this money to buy all this military equipment, like the city of St. Pete owns 2 Bradleys, which are Humvees on steroids, if you don't know it, armored vehicles, armored assault vehicles. And they also have this giant Bobcat with jaws of life on steroids that can pop open a vault door. But they don't have the money for body cams. Well, they don't have the money for body cams because it's a brotherhood and a sisterhood. It's a family. And they look out for each other. And they're not going to buy ammunition that can be used against them. They don't want certain things documented because they cause a lot of the problems that occur. Not just with the black race. With the white people, the red people, with the yellow people. Yes, us minorities, which I kind of blend. I can blend for white, and I can look Hispanic, and depends on how much I'm working in the sun, I can blend, okay? But all in all, I personally identify with Native Americans, but I acknowledge the fact that I'm many things. This country is many things. This country can be many things if it allows people to be. And not let things like what happened to George Floyd and me occur on a regular basis. This occurs. Right now, there's a cop abusing his power. Right now, there's a judge taking a payoff. Right now, there's a politician taking a payoff. Right now, there's people that are supposed to be in our public trust for us, a thing called fiduciary, which means they have a duty to be honest, are doing just the opposite. And the only reason why they're in that position of power is so that they can do that. Okay? It's a systemic problem. It goes all the way up. It's not just the cops. But I'm going to tell you this. This cop told me one time, he said, yeah, Johnny, the one that caused all this shit, you do realize that I have the power of life and death in my hands? I can steal your freedom? He was stating a fact. A stone cold fact. And it was also a veiled threat. What he could do. Because there's a lot of psychology involved with this whole thing, okay? That's what they're about. That's one of their weapons that they use. I've been told by many people, just keep your mouth shut, Johnny, let it go, you're going to agitate it, you're going to cause problems for yourself and maybe get killed or have something like that. You know what, look dude, they've already done this. They've already made me live in fear. I still live in fear to this day. Let me rephrase that. I acknowledge the fact that they have the ability to do something. But I refuse to live my life in fear of it, because you know what? I believe that I'm a good person. If I die, I'm going to be reincarnated into a good way. I believe that I have good guardian angels and I'm safe and I'm protected. Okay? And I believe that too long people have kept their mouths shut and they've turned their eyes and they've allowed things like this to occur that happened to me and George Floyd and thousands and thousands of other people. Okay? Not just here, in other countries as well. But I know this country. I know my experience here. And that's what I'm talking about. These cops that killed George Floyd, absolutely. He needs to be charged with murder, first-degree murder. Because it was premeditated, I have no doubt. And these other cops that stood there and watched, they need to be charged with accessory to murder. And none of them should ever see the light of day again if they do live. Me, who am I to say? I will say this. No longer will I keep my mouth shut. I'll tell you another incident. There was this old guy named Richard McKnight. He looked like he had paralysis on one side. He was paralyzed on one side of his body. He lived in Bowley Manor. He used to push a shopping cart around and pick up aluminum cans and cash them in, and he'd get his little bit of cigarette money or whatever with it. He was maybe the mentality of a 10 or 12-year-old boy, and he was older than me. I met him through my friend John. He was physically and mentally handicapped. I seen him one day, and I used to stop and say, "Hey, how you doing, Richard?" Blah, blah, blah. He's a friend of mine. And give him $1 or $2 if I could, you know, if he wanted it. He's got his little shopping cart from Publix or whatever. And this big, fat, white cop woman comes up there and started harassing him. I want you to get this name. Gadzilla. You spell Godzilla with an A, and that's her. And by God, she lived up to that name. Now, you know all her life, the way she looked, and with a name like that, she got picked on. She was bullied. You can't give somebody like that the power of a cop, because they're going to bully other people. Most likely. I sat there and watched this woman threaten to take Richard to jail and snatch his cart and pull it around and shit. And when I started to say something, she said, "You got a problem?" And I said, "No. I don't agree with what you're doing here." "Well, he stole this cart." I said, "Lady, please. You know, look at him. He's getting cans. Didn't give me any right to steal a cart." Ba 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 ba. I had to leave because I was afraid that that cop could and would put me in jail. I wish I had a videotape. That's an incident that I was witness to. What you need to do, what we all need to do, is we need to demand that all police have body cams, that they all have them on their cars. It's all open to the public to look at them immediately. Why are you going to hide anything? Why are you going to hide anything? If you're not doing nothing wrong, right? What they need is they need some sort of wait for people to report anonymously police abuse of power. Because be honest with yourself. You see something like that, and you're in a situation like that, I'm no coward. But I left my friend Richard McKnight that day with that freaking nasty cop bullying him. This is 25 years ago. These were not available then. A camera was this big. Yeah. You know what? When they know they're being videotaped, they change the way they act. They change their tunes. So you might help save somebody or avoid something escalating by letting them know you're videotaping it. But even if you don't want to do that, sit quietly back and videotape it. Document these instances. You don't have to stick your nose into it and get your nose broken or your life ruined or maybe taken. But we all have a duty to look out for each other, to care for each other, and to make sure that things like this are put in the light so that they can be dealt with. And that's how we're going to create a better world, by working together to stop these things from happening. I'm going to be sharing more about this. I will say this. Another thing that fired me up about this was Mayor Rick Kreisman. And I like a lot of the things he does, and I like a lot of the things that he believes in. But he's your typical fucking politician. He's over here kneeling with the protesters. He's over there doing what he can to make sure that his public image looks good, and he gets the black vote, okay, and the liberal vote. I went to that man myself, and I told him what had been occurring, and he never contacted me. He never caused an investigation to happen. He didn't give a shit. You know why he didn't give a shit? Because I'm only one. I'm only one vote. You know what they care about? They care about people sticking together. They care about us when we have power, which is in numbers. And we can do this without violence. I don't advocate violence of any sort. I don't violate, and I don't believe in looting and thieving and causing more damage, because that just makes you just as bad as them, and in a lot of ways worse. Okay? I'm going to end this with this. We have a beautiful world to live on. We have the ability to love and care and share. And this whole pandemic thing has shown us this occurring all the time. And I'm very proud. And happy to see this. But we need a lot more of that. And we need to take care of our Earth Mother, because you know what? If we don't start taking care of this Earth, we're not going to have an Earth to live on. We won't have problems at all, because we won't be here. We're blessed with this beautiful planet. We're blessed with each other. And yeah, we don't always get along. We're not always going to agree. We're all different. That's what makes the world interesting. My mom used to say, son, wouldn't it be a boring world if we were all the same and we all thought the same way? And she was right. And throughout this whole thing, when I hear about this looting and stuff, it says in my head, yeah, two wrongs My mom's other saying was, 2 wrongs don't make a right, son. So, I believe that as terrible as things are, that things are going to get not better overnight. But what I do believe is that we have the ability to create a more beautiful world and existence where people don't have to deal with these kinds of things, where people don't have to be starving and victims of war and abuse. I believe that peace and love is growing right now, and that mankind is ascending into a better race. I believe that we are going to save this world, and we are going to turn into a place that you could call nirvana or heaven or anything like that. And I don't think we got to die to go there and get there. I think we're here. We just got to recognize it, acknowledge it, and make it happen. My heart goes out to George Floyd's family and friends, to all the people that are victims of abuse. My Native American brothers and sisters on the reservation, my heart goes out to them. The Navajo Nation that's hit so hard by this COVID-19. Do you know that there's a nation of people there that don't even have running water, many of them? Remember that the next time you turn your spigot on and you just let it run. Or you take a half-hour shower. They can't do that. But if we quit spending all this money and effort and energy on war and hate and crime and meanness, and start putting it towards the peace and love and sharing thing, that won't happen anymore either. I leave you all with peace and love. Aho, Miniwikone. Johnny B, out and out.